by the Portuguese energy company Galp Energia. They say they found huge oil deposits off the coast of Namibia. How huge? About 10 billion barrels. This is the latest oil discovery in offshore Namibia this year. A few months ago, other energy giants struck oil as well. Britain's Shell and France's Total Energies. Everything put together, Namibia is now estimated to hold at least 21 billion barrels of oil, which might give it the third largest oil reserves in Africa after Libya and Nigeria, and 15th largest in the world. And this may just be the beginning. These latest discoveries have all come from here, the Orange Basin. It's located near Namibia's southern coast, near South Africa. The entire region is being explored by energy giants from around the world. These firms have carved up the area and they are frantically searching for oil. So far, Shell, Total and now Galp have struck oil, but America's Chevron is also in the hunt. So are Australia's Woodside and South Africa's Rhino Resources.
Senegal has now joined countries in the African region producing oil following the production of its first offshore oil project. The Deepwater project, which contains both oil and gas, is expected to produce 100,000 barrels of oil per day. Australia petroleum company Woodside Energy has an 82% stake in the oil project, while the state-owned energy company Petrosen holds the remaining shares. President Bassirou Diomaye Faye, who took office in April, announced that Senegal will be seeking an equity stake in oil mining, gas and oil exploration in the country.
The exploitation of our natural resources, which according to the Constitution belong to the people, will receive particular attention from my government. So in addition to the mining, oil and gas contracts already posted on the EITI Senegal website, I will be disclosing the beneficial ownership of extractive companies in accordance with the EITI standard auditing and mining oil and gas sector and providing more sustained protection for local content for the benefit of the national private sector.
Across the deserts of the Sahara and the shores of the Niger Delta, a new story is unfolding. For decades, tankers left African ports filled with crude oil, and the wealth sailed away with them. But today, something has changed. A quiet revolution is spreading through ministries, oil fields, and boardrooms across the continent. Africa is no longer waiting for others to define its value. It is taking charge, refining its own resources, negotiating on its own terms, and reshaping the world's energy map. This is not about protest. It is about power. This is Africa's energy awakening, a movement that could redefine the global balance of oil, gas, and renewable power. For much of the 20th century, oil defined Africa's relationship with the world. Contracts signed under pressure handed over vast reserves for minimal returns. Foreign corporations built fortunes. African communities were left with environmental scars and broken promises. But history always moves in cycles. And this one has turned. From Nigeria to Angola, Ghana to Senegal, governments are rewriting the rules. They are demanding transparency, increasing local ownership, and investing in national refining capacity. No longer content to export raw crude, they are building the infrastructure to produce fuel, plastics, and petrochemicals right at home. The goal is clear: turn resources into results, and turn extraction into empowerment. Africa's strategy is simple but powerful. Diversify, industrialize, and unify. Diversify. Oil remains important, but so do natural gas, solar, hydro, and green hydrogen. Countries like Namibia and Morocco are becoming renewable powerhouses, proving that energy independence means embracing every form of energy, not just oil. Industrialize. The continent is building refineries and petrochemical plants that can meet its own needs. Nigeria's massive Dangote refinery, for example, is one of the largest on Earth, a symbol of what self-reliance looks like in practice. When African oil is refined in Africa, jobs stay, technology stays, and profits stay. Unify. Regional cooperation through the African Continental Free Trade Area, the AfCFTA, allows oil-rich nations to supply neighbors directly. Pipelines, power grids, and transport corridors are being designed to connect economies, not divide them. Together, these three pillars form the backbone of Africa's new energy economy. one that feeds industry, powers cities, and funds education and innovation. Ownership changes everything. When African nations control their energy, they control their destiny. Domestic energy security means factories can run, hospitals can operate, and farmers can process crops without interruption. It means foreign investors negotiate, not dictate. And it means young engineers and scientists see futures in their own countries instead of abroad. In Gabon, new petroleum laws give citizens a larger share of national revenue. In Uganda, community funds tied to new projects ensure that schools and clinics grow alongside oil production. Across North Africa, countries are forming research partnerships to develop cleaner refining technologies and reduce emissions. This is how a continent builds prosperity that lasts, by linking natural wealth directly to human development. The world is watching and adjusting. Energy markets that once took Africa for granted now compete to partner with it. Asian and Middle Eastern nations are offering technology transfers instead of one-sided contracts. Even Western companies are renegotiating to stay relevant in a changing landscape. But this transformation is not about isolation, it's about balance. Africa still welcomes investment, but on fair terms. It seeks partnership, not dependency. Analysts call this a quiet revolution. Citizens call it common sense. And investors are learning a new rule. If you want to work with Africa, you must work with Africa. Behind this energy transformation stands another force: technology. African engineers are modernizing refineries with AI monitoring systems that reduce waste. Startups are using blockchain to track oil shipments and eliminate corruption. Digital training platforms are creating thousands of new skilled workers. In Kenya and Rwanda, tech hubs are connecting renewable projects with oil logistics, optimizing grids and storage. In South Africa, research into synthetic fuels and battery storage is turning the traditional oil industry into a launchpad for the green transition. The message is clear. Africa is not clinging to the past of fossil fuels. It is using its energy wealth to fund the future. Every barrel of oil refined locally creates jobs: engineers, safety officers, transporters, accountants, coders. For a continent where 60% of people are under 25, energy independence means employment independence. Scholarships are expanding in petroleum and environmental sciences. Young Africans are being trained to manage their own resources sustainably. This is not just an economic plan. It's a social contract with the next generation. In the voices of these youth, you can hear the new definition of wealth. Our resources, our technology, our future. Oil may have built the old world, but renewable energy will power the new one. Africa's leadership knows this, and it is using today's oil income to invest in tomorrow's clean power. Solar farms in the Sahel, wind corridors in the Horn, hydro projects along the Congo River, all financed partly by revenues from locally managed oil. That's the smartest use of a finite resource, turning black gold into green growth. By 2035, Africa could generate more renewable power than it consumes, exporting clean energy to Europe and Asia. The same continent once labeled as energy poor could soon be energy rich in every sense. A century ago, others decided the price of Africa's oil. Today, Africans are deciding the value of their future. Refineries stand where pipelines once began. Power lines stretch across borders once drawn by colonial hands. And in the hum of turbines, the glow of solar panels, and the roar of engines powered by African fuel, you can hear a continent speaking with one voice. We are no longer the suppliers of the world. We are the shapers of it. The journey is far from over, but the direction is clear. Africa's energy revolution is not just about oil. It's about ownership, innovation, and unity. The world is turning its eyes toward a new epicenter of power. And as dawn rises over Lagos, Luanda, and Tripoli, a new light spreads across the globe, the light of a continent that finally fuels itself. Africa takes charge of its oil, and with it, its future.